Now VW has been making a big promise. SUVW. So SUVs are at the heart of what VW is offering to the Indian market, which is why you had the T-Roc, you had the Tiguan, and you had the Tiguan Allspace. But the real heart of the SUVW promise is here, that Taygun. And this is going to be in showrooms around July, August. So what can you expect? What should you look forward to? Let's find out. This looks just like the Taygun that they showed at the Auto Expo in 2020, doesn't it? Yes, it was almost production ready, and this is production ready with a couple of key differences. One of which I might point out is right here. We'll talk more about that later. So that badge is definitely very interesting. What's also interesting is this look. Now, this has a fair amount of chrome here on the face, which makes it look a little bit more flashy, and which has been done specifically keeping Indian markets in mind. And for that little bit of flash, which is also practical, you of course get these LED headlamps, the LED DRLs, and of course you also have cornering lamps down here on the bumper. So this is a typical VW look, I'm going to say. And it is working here on the Taygun especially well, because if you ask me, this slightly flattish edge to that is giving it a more square look, a little bit more square than some of its bigger siblings, if you ask me.
Standing around for a handy comparison is the facelifted Tiguan 5-seater, which is going to be launched pretty soon. Now back to the smaller SUVW.
Now, being an SUV, you want it to be, a little taller, broader. But the Taygun isn't actually the biggest in the class. It has a really long wheelbase, but in terms of width, height, it's a little bit lower than the competition. But it does look good. You look at these lines, really nice and crisp. And might I add at this moment that this is familiar, because if you've seen the Kushaq, you'll recognize these character lines, and that's because these two are platform siblings. So in terms of the wheelbase, they're the same, and the overall dimensions, while we don't have them handy right now, they are said to be just a couple of millimeters off. So in terms of size, yes, not as large as the rivals. Nonetheless, it's going to be a striking looking car. Now, going from the concept at Auto Expo to the production version here, a couple of changes that I might point out. There was a graphic here on the C-pillar, which has been done away with as of now. And when it comes to the wheels, there were 19 inches on the concept. But interestingly, the design for the wheels is the same, but these are 17 inches. Not the broadest in the class, but should be fine, and we're expecting this Volkswagen to drive really well. And again, the GT badge, I'm coming back to that. It's really interesting because the GT gets red calipers for the brakes here. Robocop. If you don't know who Robocop is, Google it. You'll find out, and then tell me whether this looks like that or not. Yeah? But whether you know Robocop or not, I think you'll agree that this LED treatment is looking super cool. It has a kind of retro vibe to it, but at the same time modernistic. So it really works for me, and I think one of the most distinctive angles of the Taygun, if you ask me, makes it look younger and cooler.
The chrome strips and the contrast 4 skid plates give it some flash too.
In terms of boot space, if you have to talk about practicality, well, we don't have numbers here. We can expect it to be similar to the Kushaq. It also has those baggage hooks. So in terms of practicality, it should be pretty decent. Again, not the largest in the class, but it looks cool. So we'll look past that. This door is open, but I'm not allowed to step inside and show you what's there on the inside. So I'm just going to talk about it. This is, in terms of size, I think the most important thing, this is primarily a 4-seater because it feels a bit narrow, but for the 4 that will be seated inside, this is going to feel nice and premium. It's going to have lovely details, like this GT version has contrast stitching, it has red stitching on the inside for the seats. The fabric in use, it's got a mix of leatherette and fabric, which is cool even for this version that we are seeing now. But the top end versions will get ventilated seats, which will be in full leather. And of course, in terms of the features on offer, you're getting a sunroof, not panoramic, and it's got a 10-inch touchscreen, which we've seen on the Kushaq. It's got a similar layout, but the really cool bit here, and I think that's where VW is making a statement. They want to be a little bit more premium, a little bit cooler, and that's why it's getting a full digital display for the driver. It's getting a flat bottom steering wheel across the range. So a little bit of these touches, which will make it look a little bit cooler, feel a little bit more, trendier. In terms of the modern day features, of course, you're getting wireless charging and in that longitudinal layout that we've seen, which is pretty handy. And along with that, for that GT effect, you're getting red ambient lighting on this Taygun as well.
Unlike the concept, the dash in the production Taygun is black, and it still looks handsome, but it lacks soft touch plastics.
And if you're talking about safety, and that's a big part of the VW promise, it's of course going to get 2 airbags as standard. It's going to get ESC as standard, which means you get multi-collision brake as standard, and along with that you have 6 airbags as an option, ISOFIX, you've got the works in that sense. And VW are promising that this will live up to the VW promise when it comes to crash test ratings as well. So, what's powering the Taygun? Well, this GT version is going to get the 1.5 litre TSI, which is the 4-cylinder engine, making 150 PS of power and 250 Newton meters of torque, and will be paired with the 7-speed DSG. Volkswagen say they're also working on a GT version, which will be a manual, but that's not been confirmed yet. And of course, the lower spec engine will be the 3-cylinder 1 litre, which makes 115 PS and 175 Newton meters of torque, which will be available with a 6-speed manual and a 6-speed automatic. So the manual will be standard for both the engines. So you're getting a good choice in terms of, you can expect the 3-cylinder to be a more wallet-friendly option, whereas the 1.5, which gets, cylinder deactivation technology, and the DSG will be more expensive, but of course will also offer you a more premium experience in the way the Taygun drives. And I think the GT is something definitely I'd look forward to. Now the only question is the price. The thing is that it's pretty competitive space. Just how aggressive is Volkswagen going to be? With the new logo that's also there on the nose, I forgot to point that out earlier, but there's a new logo, it's a new promise, SUVW. Just how aggressive are they going to be? Is it really going to make you step away from the options and rivals that you have just now and give you a killer VFM package? June, July, can't come too soon.